Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning to you. Obviously, I'm reviewing number 5 in this video, and it's very short because this one was really worse than the others. But also, there's a lot of news coming out, so there's a lot to cover in here. Let's jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. So as I told you on Sunday, Meghan has decided to start sending out newsletters to the people who subscribed to, I think it was the ARO site, and she just kept their email addresses. And so now she's sending them to her quote unquote as ever subscribers. She welcomed them to the quote feeling of my home, and she shared some details about the lifestyle brand. And we know what's going on with this. And she's selling products, no prices on them, I might add, no thought about when they'll actually be available. And she's just, she sent out the note. I've shown it to you before. I'm going to show it to you again. You can freeze the screen and read it for yourself. I have no interest in reading this to you. Sorry. There's a shortbread cookie mix with flour sprinkles that reminds her of her time in England. And a crepe mix inspired by her time in France as a student. Guys, she puts those flour sprinkles on freaking everything. She's just so fake. And the worst part is, as I've shown you through my reviews, that Meghan basically talks about her family, except for her mother. It's, I had a horrible childhood. I was a latchkey kid. Well, let me tell you, Thomas Markle Jr. is now speaking out and is basically saying that this is probably the first time I felt sorry and embarrassed for her, and said that he has not let his father watch the show because of his health. Her constant claims about how she grew up poor, Thomas Markle said this is just another one of her stories that she sold to the royal family for sympathy. We weren't poor. She was raised in a middle-class comfort in the suburbs by an Emmy Award-winning lighting director. She had limos picking her up from school. She went to all private schools. She was fed organic vegetables from the school's garden each week. The school that she went to is where Elizabeth Taylor and Judy Garland went. And on top of that, she went to a private Catholic school that was one of LA's finest. So he said this bit of her telling people that she didn't have 2 nickels to rub together and she was so poor she ate at the all-you-can-eat Sizzler bar is a lie. Her own website, The TIG, says that she's a liar. Ugh. Now, of course, people were going to start speaking out. The first person was Piers Morgan. He said he watched the show and then he wrote, and I'm quoting, appalled by the universally savage reviews for this heartwarming and inspirational new series about how to make coffee. I found all 10 minutes was what I could endure of this morning. Genuinely hilarious. Now, Serena Williams spoke out, but this was really interesting because even though it's getting scathing reviews, she's basically uploading promo material telling people to check out With Love, Meghan. If the show is so good and Serena is such a good friend, why didn't Serena go on the show? Because it was obvious Meghan was having trouble to get people on. And of course, what happened was what we thought was going to happen. It came out, I think it hit number 6 out of 10 for Netflix. It was, people were just hate watching it. And then it fell out of the top 10 because once people realized what it was, they were not interested in it. It fell out, by the way, of the top 10 in both countries, the UK and the US. And the IMDb has ranked it 2.4 out of 10. This has just been panned. It's had widely negative reviews. People are now begging South Park to do another episode. Oh my God, I would die if South Park did another episode, you guys. Could you imagine? Oh my God. Really quickly also, you guys remember when Meghan got into it with Mindy Kaling because Mindy Kaling called her Meghan Markle and Meghan is gushing on about wanting to be called Sussex. Well, come to find out, this is occurring because they're basically giving the royal family a warning. What's being alleged is that Meghan made a very public point about how much the title meant to her and by implication to Harry. And what's being reported is that, by an insider, is that stripping the titles from them could be used as a sanction if they publish any more tell-all books about the royal family or give any other explosive interviews. I think they've reached the end of their rope, the royal family has. So this was a warning. Stop it or we're going to take your titles. And that was Meghan's warning back to the royal family. The truth is, when you look at this show, She has severed deep family ties. She's lobbing accusations of racism. She's attempted to blow up the monarchy. She won't even film in her own house. She has this conversational filler that's very underwhelming. And the show is just, it's a bomb. Personally, I think this show really amplifies how superficial Megan is. She never offers anybody to sit down. She doesn't convey any warmth. Supposedly, her friend Daniel from the first episode is Megan's good friend of years and years, and yet she didn't know he was left-handed. She didn't know what the size of his apartment in New York looked like, and now they're referring to her as Marie Antoinette. The one thing in this article that really caught my attention is she said that her resentment and rage are simmering just below the surface because her fame is waning, her talent is questionable, and she married a beta royal. You know, I'm a Sussex now. The editing makes the sequence of events very unclear. You never know what the hell is going on, and the rebrand feels more obscene than usual. She goes, I'm not making this up. I feed my chickens with organic vegetables so that their yolks will be more golden. Right. This show should come with a complimentary sickness bag. I agree. Now I'm about to show you episode 5, and it's really short. My review is so short, and you're going to see why. Let's jump in and cover it, shall we? Let's go. So the show starts and Megan is driving down the road and she wants you to know that she's really part of the community. There's the antique shop I really like over there. Oh, there's my favorite farmer's market stand where I got apricots yesterday. Because, you know, it's the little things that matter. And she's driving and she's going to a flower store. Oh, the girls are coming for lunch and we've all been through a lot and we've always been there for each other. And so we're going to eat light and healthy because that's what they like. And we're going to do fish and we're going to salt it and we're going to start with some crudités and we're going to do greens or a salad. Like, how many times has she done that now? And she says, Kelly's a great cook and Abby has other strengths. I'm like, okay, you just insulted your friend. So she gets to the flower store. She goes, I'm looking for blooms for my lady's lunch. No, I just have to interject here. I found that statement from her very interesting because she is the one who said, I don't want to be a lady who lunches. I want to be a woman who works. And yet all she's done so far is eat lunch with her friends over and over and over. So Megan walks in and she's like, oh, this is so beautiful. And she walks into the cooler and she's trying to decide what flowers she wants. Now, the funny thing is she seems to know the name of every single flower. There's a tree to the side and she does ask somebody what that is. But other than that, she's so knowledgeable. She knows the name of every flower. She eventually picks something up and she goes to the register and she goes to pay. And now there's one woman who really wants to be on camera as they leave the cooler. Look at that. She's like, she can't get away. There's a lot of hair flipping. And then it goes back to the house and then she starts putting together flowers and she starts telling everybody how to do it. I'm not kidding. This took almost up the first 9 minutes of this 30-something minute episode. It was boring as all get out. She oohs and ahs over her own creation and then she heads back into the kitchen saying, I've got to do some things before the girls come. Let's do ice cubes, floral ice cubes. It's the touches, it's the details, you get it? She cuts up little flowers, she sticks them in the ice tray, she puts water in, and then she puts it in the freezer so that they'll be beautiful ice cubes for later on in the day. So you guys know me, I went straight onto Pinterest and there were some of the most beautiful ice cubes, 10 times nicer than the ones that Markle did. So again, she's not, it's not rocket science. So the next thing that happens is Megan pulls out this plastic thing and she's frozen orange juice into molds. She said her friend Kelly bought her some of the molds. And so she's going to be making mimosas because, the girls need alcohol if they're going to deal with Megan. So the first girl shows up and the first thing Megan does is point out that Guy is sitting there on the floor. And then she makes the girl a drink. Well, while Kelly Z is sucking down the alcohol, her other friend comes walking in the door. Megan immediately pours her a drink. I mean, let's be honest, they're going to need it if they're dealing with Markle. So Megan says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to cook fish. She brings up the kids. Remember I told you guys that Archie caught 2 trout last year on the family vacation? And so we're going to do a nice salt-baked whatever the fish is. And, one for you, one for her. Megan goes, well, I'm going to guide you. There won't be a competition. Remember, the goal here is to praise Megan. So while Abigail Spencer says, I'm not a chef, the other girl goes, no, you really are a chef. You're amazing in the kitchen. You're both amazing. Megan starts stuffing the fish. We don't know exactly how much of whatever she's stuffing in. I've never seen a cooking show before that doesn't actually give recipes, but that's what this is. So she guides the women through the process of putting the fish on some salt and then putting the salt on top of the fish and then shoving it into the oven. It's not very difficult. After they're done with all that, Kelly says, you know what? I'm going to go wash my hands. And I realize that this is the first time that I have seen anybody in that kitchen up through this episode number 5, that washed their hands before they put them all over the food. So Megan says, okay, well, while the oven is pre-warming, let's have some nibbles. And the girls turn around and go, oh my God, yes. And they start eating all of these vegetables from this platter. Now, how many times have we seen Megan so far make one of these platters? I mean, this must be like the 3rd or 4th time. And she's starting again from the beginning. We go back in time now. She's pulling vegetables out of the fridge. She basically takes a hummus after she puts her hands in her hair again, which she does several times, I might add. And look how far down her hair is hanging into the food. She takes a container of hummus pre-made, puts it into the container, pours the olive oil over it and goes, look at that, it's elevated already. She then proceeds to cut up vegetables. This has got to been like the 4th or 5th vegetable tray we've seen her make. And by now I'm really completely bored. The only nice thing about this entire thing are the pictures of her now deceased dog, Guy. And then, by the way, she puts the dead flowers, the dried flowers on top. I mean, she puts it on frickin' everything. So then they jump back to where they were and, oh, Megan, do you enjoy cooking socially or alone? Oh, no, I just like to be meditative. It's changed since I've had kids. It's part of what I want them to learn, that they have these great formative memories of me being there with them. Oh, Mommy used to make this, but also H is a good cook. And one of the girls go, yeah, he made me scrambled eggs. Best scrambled eggs ever. The next groundbreaking thing that happens is after they put the fish in the oven, they decide to make a salad. And Megan says, come on, guys, say it with me. Let's put this on because it'll give it texture. She says, should I put flour sprinkles on it? And her friend Kelly Zafin goes, oh yes, now you're speaking my love language. And she puts these dead flowers now on top of the salad. Now here's the interesting thing. She says, yeah, we're going to have to put this in a nicer presentation bowl. So in the first episode, she was telling her friend Daniel, we don't have time for multiple bowls. But in this episode, apparently she does, because this bowl isn't pretty enough to put on the table. So they finally get the fish out of the oven and they have fun deboning it and removing the skin. And then Megan says, now, okay, you need to squeeze the lemon over it until it glistens. Okay, finally, they head outside. As soon as the girls see the flowers, Megan, you did that? It's incredible. Wow, wonderful. And they sit down to eat this food. Then they talk about Lily, she's got this doll, and then they go on and on about this food. Oh, it's amazing, well done, great flavor. And they're just emoting over the food again. And then we have to hear how they met, how long they've been friends. Oh, I went to this one's wedding, blah, blah, blah. Now, the one friend we know was from being on Suits with her. And she said, I felt like you were head of morale on that show. And Megan goes, oh yeah, I love to plan fun for everybody or have people at the house. And you always had flowers in Toronto and London. And it had such an effect on me with my floral company, Meg. You were my only consultant. And I would send you the early bouquets and say this, not that. Okay. And now look at this. So basically, as far as I can tell, this woman is giving full credit to Megan for her flower business. And also, if Megan was head of morale for the show, how come nobody else from Suits speaks to her anymore? So they go back into the house and Megan says, do you want a drink? And of course, she pulls out the ice cubes and the girls exclaim over the ice cubes, okay? So then Megan goes, do you want some dessert? Are my preserves back there? Knowing full well that they are. She pulls it out and goes, here's what's happening in my head. Let's put some of my preserves in the bottom of these bowls, almost like a reverse parfait. Then we're going to put the ice cream on top, which she didn't make the ice cream. And by the way, she starts talking about how Lily picked the strawberries. No, Mama, I'll do it. I'll stir it. I'll mash it because I want her to have that, bit of being proud. Megan continues to talk. Did you know my grandmother worked in an ice cream shop and my first job was in an ice cream shop? Then she just happens to have fresh berries cut and some biscotti that she puts on top for, say it with me, texture. And then she puts a mint leaf and she hands them over to the girls. Well, you can imagine what happens next. They're gushing over the presentation while saying, well, it's all about the jam. I mean, they have to push the jam because after all, that's what Megan's going to be selling. Oh my God, I love this. So then you have the recap at the end about all the things they did. And Megan goes, it's so easy to make anything ordinary extraordinary. It's just so easy. The tiniest attention to detail makes it special. And then they go, okay, guys, let's chef's kiss. And then everybody's like, it's a wrap. Come on over. And then you see the camera crew that's all standing around. Thanks, crew. Thanks, everybody. All right, guys, so you know what to do. Put those comments down. Now, don't forget that I've still got recipes dropping on the other channel, and you can find the link to that down in the description box, along with the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Amazon wishlist, a link to my father's book that's still up for sale, and a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.